Hello and welcome to Life Perspectives Annual Reception. I am so glad that you decided to join us tonight. My name is Michaeline Friedenberg and I'm the President and CEO of Life Perspectives, and I'm coming to you here from our headquarters in San Diego. As you can see, like so many organizations worldwide, we've taken our annual gathering and we've moved it online. It is my hope that you will be inspired and encouraged during these next 30 minutes as we celebrate healing. I want to say a special thank you right from the outset to our very generous sponsors, and I hope that all of you will join me in a virtual toast as we talk about the great successes that Life Perspectives has had this past year. And we'd love you to participate, and you can do that through the chat feature. It would be great to hear where you are listening to us, and maybe you can share with us some comments and feedback as we move throughout our time together. And so while you get started introducing yourselves to each other, let me take a moment to introduce Life Perspectives to those of you who may be new to us. Life Perspectives is the recognized expert in reproductive grief care. We provide training, research, and expertise to health professionals and other care providers who offer support after reproductive loss, including miscarriage and abortion. We also offer a safe place for those who are impacted to come, and that's at miscarriagehurts.com and abortionchangesyou.com. As you can tell from our theme, Celebrating Healing, Overcoming Isolation, we're excited to highlight some of our accomplishments from last year, what we've accomplished so far this year, and give you a little peek of what's to come. And I have some exciting news to share with you. We have a generous supporter who has agreed to match your donations tonight up to $75,000. And that's in addition to the $300,000 that has already been pledged by our sponsors. So if you can help us tonight, you're going to be able to double your donation and double our ability to help men and women who are suffering silent and alone. You can share that in chat as well if you'd like to make a pledge, and we'll keep those totals going so you know as we're moving towards our goal. Well, I am so excited to tell you everything Life Perspectives, so let's get started. So why Life Perspectives? Why the focus on reproductive loss? It's because we are so keenly aware that there are so many people suffering in silence. In fact, most people are shocked when they hear that 1 out of 4 pregnancies ends in miscarriage, and 1 out of 4 women will have an abortion by the time they're 45. That means that 2 million couples in the United States face reproductive loss through miscarriage and abortion every year. And when you consider their family members and friends, the truth is that everyone knows someone who's been impacted. But since these losses are rarely acknowledged, where do they turn when they need hope, solace, and healing? That's where Life Perspectives comes in. Our goal is to invite those impacted by reproductive loss to begin healing and to assure them that they have a voice that is heard, so that they don't feel isolated and alone and are given permission to grieve. So let's jump in and get started with a few words from the chairman of our board, Ben Montoya.
Hello, I'm Ben Montoya, and I am chairman of the board of Life Perspectives. I met Michaeline 30 years ago, long before Life Perspectives was an organization. Michaeline was a voice of reason, sharing a refreshing message of hope and healing for those who had experienced reproductive grief and loss. Well, long story short, I have been a supporter of the organization throughout its evolution all of these years, and I joined the board of Life Perspectives in 2009. So why do I have a passion for Life Perspectives? I was personally impacted by reproductive loss. My first wife and I accepted the advice of our doctor and terminated our second pregnancy due to complications. My naive thinking at the time was to accept the advice of our doctor, and I made no connection with this being an abortion. It wasn't until many years later that I looked back and realized that this act probably led to my wife's depression and was probably a contributor to the dissolution of our marriage. If Life Perspectives had been around at that time, who knows, maybe things would have been different. But today I look at what is going on and I am amazed and proud of how Life Perspectives has grown over these years. The growth of Life Perspectives means that our hope and healing message is reaching more and more people who desperately need it, who desperately need to know that they are not alone in experiencing reproductive grief and loss through miscarriage or abortion. I am energized by our wonderful board and staff who love people and live the message of hope and healing. The staff combines their skills with their heart for hurting people and focuses on our goal of helping those who need help and training and developing hundreds of counselors across the country who are comfortable and sensitive in sharing the message of hope and healing in all corners of our culture. We are making great progress in transforming the language of our institutions to address healing where previously they were silent, either because it was not politically correct to discuss or they were unaware of the connection between reproductive loss and the various forms of mental illness that their clients were experiencing. Our hope is that the tools and the language for healing for those who have experienced a reproductive loss is widely available and becomes a normal and accepted part of our conversations. So thank you for your support of Life Perspectives. Your support makes this all happen. You are directly touching the lives of those who need help, and you are helping to change our culture so that the message of hope and healing is prevalent and normal. Know that you are positively impacting many lives through your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. I appreciate your leadership and your passion for Life Perspectives mission. It's an honor to work with you. And I want to thank you for sharing your personal story. We all join you in expressing our sorrow and our support. Before we dive into our successes and accomplishments, I'd like to tell you about our response to the pandemic. I know you're tired of hearing about COVID, but I think you'll be encouraged by what I have to tell you. With just a few hours' notice, our team moved all of our in-person trainings online without missing a beat. In fact, they conducted a record number of trainings in April, 13 to be exact, with several hundred care providers participating from around the country. We also moved up our timeline to build a customized learning management system with the ability to host live virtual trainings as well as on-demand courses. And we were able to launch it months ahead of schedule. So not only did we pivot on a dime, but we actually leveraged less than ideal circumstances to expand our reach. And we did so at a time when grieving men and women were feeling more isolated than ever before. We don't know what life will be like next year. We don't even know what it'll be like next month. But I can say with confidence that we are ready and adaptable to any change that comes our way. But I'm jumping ahead. Our trainings are just one part of what we call our 3 pillars of service, which all inform and influence each other. They are grief care education, data collection and research, and healing resources. Let's begin with grief care education. If you're new to Life Perspectives, I'd like you to know that one of our important focuses is on doctors, nurses, and other caregivers, including mental health providers and pregnancy center staff. We train these caregivers to recognize reproductive loss and help patients and clients cope with these experiences. In our training of caregivers, we take pride in providing them with our gold standard of care, the very best protocols that they need to provide optimal care to patients and clients. One of our instructors is a nurse practitioner that joined our team last fall. I'd like to take a couple moments to have Catherine introduce herself and tell us in her own words what she hopes to achieve in each of her training sessions.
Hello and welcome. My name is Catherine Grauerholtz and I'm a nurse practitioner. I'm the bereavement care coordinator at Life Perspectives. I'm also certified in hospice and palliative care. I also have pregnancy consultative counseling experience. I really think it's safe to say that we're all impacted by loss in some way, professionally, maybe personally, and even in our own families. And it's good to keep in mind that the grief experience from a reproductive loss goes far beyond the actual encounter of a patient experiencing a miscarriage in a clinic or in the emergency department. Research indicates that if these patients have their grief acknowledged, enfranchised, and are provided follow-up tools, they too can begin to make sense of their losses and begin healing from the pain. Ultimately, my hope is that through your compassion and empathy, the negative effect of disenfranchised grief related to reproductive losses can be mitigated one person at a time.
Thank you, Catherine. That was a beautiful way to summarize how we feel about our trainings and what they'll achieve. I also want to thank you for your leadership in helping us to earn accreditation to offer continuing education to nurses through the California Board of Registered Nursing. This accreditation complements our other accreditations from the California Association of Marriage and Family Therapists and the National Association of Social Workers, and makes Life Perspectives a more attractive partner for healthcare organizations. It's also important to point out that each care provider that Life Perspectives trains in turn serves dozens, if not hundreds, of men and women impacted by reproductive loss each year. So you can just imagine the powerful impact that each training has in spreading comfort and hope. And it's your support that makes this happen, as your generosity not only underwrites the cost of developing our trainings and earning accreditations, but also underwrites training expenses for the many organizations and healthcare institutions that have cut out their training budgets during the current crisis. So this is a good time to remind you that your donation will be doubled tonight, up to $75,000. I want to thank everyone who has made a pledge so far. We appreciate you so much. Let's talk a bit more about this first pillar, our training of medical professionals and caregivers. Sometimes the medical providers who receive our training become so powerfully impacted by it that they decide to become an instructor themselves. Our next speaker, Rebecca, is a great example of this. To give you a glimpse into the powerful impact of our educational programs, I want to ask Rebecca to introduce herself and take a moment to share her experiences with us.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Capuano, and I work as the Reproductive Loss Coordinator for the Blue Ridge Women's Center in Rona, Virginia. We are a pregnancy medical clinic and provide pregnancy tests, ultrasounds, and other services for women who experience unplanned pregnancies. And I am just thrilled to be here today and to be able to talk with you a little bit about the impact that Life Perspectives has had, not only on me individually, but also us as an organization. I first got involved with Life Perspectives a couple years ago when Carol Porter came to do a reproductive grief care training here at our center. And honestly, I was just blown away by the training, by the perspective, by the vision, by the incredible applicability of the concepts that were there to people's lives, and immediately got excited about starting to implement that in our organization. I went on to become a certified trainer with Life Perspectives and have been blessed to be able to do that training all over the place. And it's been incredible to see people's responses to this training, no matter where I go, regardless of the professionals that I'm training, even with counselors, with licensed counselors, I get the same feedback, which is similar to what I had. Wow, we're just blown away. Sort of a, where has this been all of our lives? Why have we never heard about this? Nobody talks about this stuff. This is exactly what we need to be hearing and working with. It's been very neat to see that. I consistently have people who will come up to me after the training and talk about their own losses and how the training helped them individually, not only how it's going to help them with the work that they do. I think that Life Perspectives is just on the cutting edge of this reproductive grief care. We've been able to implement those concepts here at our organization as well. We actually have become certified as a site with Life Perspectives, and it's been awesome to see the power that these concepts have had on our clients' lives. It's incredible what Life Perspectives work is doing in the lives of real people. I think one of the things that has impressed me the most has been to see not only how it helps people to find healing from their reproductive loss, but that these principles apply to hurting humanity in general, that it helps us to become more compassionate caregivers. It's not just about reproductive grief care, it's about human care, basically. And that has been one of the most powerful aspects that I have seen. So I cannot say enough about Life Perspectives and the work that they're doing and how this work is really having true impact on real people's lives and helping them to find healing and hope.
Thank you, Rebecca. What an inspirational story. I just love working with you. We are so thrilled that we now have a certified instructor on the East Coast who is training care providers in your area, as well as helping the men and women impacted by reproductive losses like miscarriage and abortion in your clinic. Let's move on to our second pillar, data collection and research. There may be no two words less exciting than data collection, but it is a critical part of providing successful care after reproductive loss. For a life-changing experience that impacts 2 million people each year, plus their family members and friends, it is surprising how little research is available. While Life Perspectives has been called the standard of reproductive grief care, how do we validate that claim? How do we teach best practices when supporting evidence is sparse? Rather than continuing to decry the lack of research, we made the decision last year to conduct our own research to establish global standards for offering compassionate care. A perfect example of this is a groundbreaking study that was published in the prestigious peer-reviewed journal Health Communication last month. The content analysis study, whose short title is #AbortionChangesYou, was led by Dr. Rafferty of Iowa State University. It analyzed 10 years of anonymous blog posts from Life Perspectives website, abortionchangesyou.com. Among other important findings, this study validated Life Perspectives' assertion that men and women remain largely isolated and alone as they attempt to grapple with a complex set of emotions before, during, and after an abortion experience. Let's have Dr. Rafferty introduce herself now and tell us her thoughts about working with Life Perspectives.
Hi, my name's Dr. Catherine Rafferty, and I am an assistant teaching professor at Iowa State University and an associate scholar with the Charlotte Lozier Institute. I have had the privilege and pleasure of working with Michaeline and Life Perspectives on a recent study that was published in the journal Health Communication called #AbortionChangesYou, a case study to understand the communicative tensions in women's medication abortion narratives. I'm very grateful for the opportunity that I've had to work with Life Perspectives and with Michaeline on this study. And they allowed me to share the findings of this research recently in a webinar with various women and health professionals who are really trying to work with women who are struggling after having had a medication abortion. I think that the work that they are doing is very good, sound, quality, evidence-based research. And they're not only looking to share it with women who are struggling with reproductive loss, but also with the healthcare providers who truly want to serve and support these women and to make sure that they have what they need in order to have adequate support and coping as they struggle with reproductive loss. Again, I'm very grateful and thankful for the work that I've been able to do, and I hope that you will support them as well.
Thank you, Dr. Rafferty. We really appreciate your kind words. We too have great respect for the work that you and your team does. Since the results of this research are critical to understanding how to provide optimal and compassionate care, we hosted a webinar with Dr. Rafferty for the healthcare community, and over 150 care providers from around the country registered. Let's take a moment to see some of their amazing comments. Your support made this research project possible. Thank you. In addition to this study, Life Perspectives is currently involved with research papers on perinatal grief, perinatal palliative care, and the implications of perinatal grief on care providers. We are also actively seeking clinical partners to begin the process of validating a much-needed perinatal grief screening tool that can be administered in a primary care setting. As you can see, data and research is critical, and it can also be very exciting and something that we cannot do without your support. As you can imagine, each one of these projects costs tens of thousands of dollars, and yet their impact on the lives of suffering individuals cannot be measured. So before we move on, I want to encourage you to make a pledge to reach or surpass our match goal of $75,000. Now it's time to talk about our final pillar, healing resources. Our healing resources include printed and e-book materials that can be shared with those impacted. We also offer greeting cards and memorial jewelry as a way to commemorate the loss. Let's take a moment to hear from a caregiver who uses our resources to help others. Joining us all the way from Macedonia, Svetlana's story is fascinating. She became a certified instructor when the Life Perspectives team was invited to Ukraine to train health professionals and other care providers. While there, she recognized how helpful our resources are in comforting grieving men and women. Let's have Svetlana introduce herself and tell us about it in her own words.
Hi, my name is Svetlana Jovanova and I'm director of Lydia Abiti Heart. The first time when I've heard about Life Perspectives was in 2013, January 2013, when I met my personal mentor, Phil Holsinger, from Roanoke, Virginia. He came to visit the center and with him he brought a couple of materials for women who went through a reproductive loss. Because we were a new organization and we were looking for materials that we can use to help women who went through a reproductive loss. He brought Changed by Michaeline Friedenberg and Healing Pathways. For me, it was interesting to read other people's stories. Me personally, I've never had an abortion and I've never had reproductive loss, so it was an area that it wasn't very familiar. So my colleague Daniela and I, we were looking materials to read and to learn more how we can help the women in Macedonia. Unfortunately, the abortion rate is very high. 2 out of 3 pregnancies end up in abortion. And according to some statistics, almost every second woman above age of 45 already had one abortion in her life. So we know that women are struggling out there and we were looking to find a way how to help them. Unfortunately, not many women want to talk about their experience. So we have to be very wise and very patient at the same time to know how to help them. Life Perspectives actually offers that. Offers compassion, offers love, offers many things that will be very helpful for the women. But at the same time, it helps people who read these materials, who learn from these materials, to know how to approach women, how to talk with women, and maybe not just with the women, but with the entire family who've experienced a reproductive loss. And that it's okay to be sad, it's okay to grieve, but at the same time to know that there is hope at the end, and there is healing. And Life Perspectives offers exactly that, hope and healing. Thank you.
Thank you, Svetlana, for your kind words. We appreciate it, and also the great work that you do helping men and women throughout Europe. In addition to all of our printed materials, jewelry, and other items to help men and women process reproductive loss, we also offer 2 healing websites, miscarriagehurts.com and abortionchangesyou.com. These sites feature the healing model developed by Life Perspectives, which allows visitors to anonymously participate in activities such as identifying their emotions, choosing the best person to seek support, and commemorating their decision to continue the healing process on our Wall of Hope. One of the most popular sections of our websites, and by far the most difficult to see, is the stories section, where we are given an intimate glimpse into how people are grappling with reproductive loss. It was also this section of our Abortion Changes You website that was the focus of Dr. Rafferty's study that we talked about earlier. The stories posted to these sites are often so raw and painful that it's difficult to read them. Let's take just a few moments to see some of the powerful messages that we see on these sites every day. Thank you. I know that was hard to see. Although these stories are very painful, they are daily reminders of how many people are hurting and how critically important it is to provide people a safe place to learn that they are not alone and begin healing. If it were not for Life Perspectives, where would all these people go? Without our help, these men and women would continue to suffer in silence. The good news is that Life Perspectives is here to help them, and you are the ones who are making this possible. Life Perspectives has accomplished some great success already this year. We've held 50 trainings for 700 care providers in 2020 alone. We've also hosted 30,000 visitors on our healing websites. In addition to our first groundbreaking research study and our record-smashing webinar, we achieved some more exciting milestones. This summer, we hit the 500,000 mark. 500,000 total visits to our healing websites, abortionchangesyou.com and miscarriagehurts.com. Also this summer, we hit the 5,000 mark. 5,000 care providers, including nurses, doctors, mental health experts, and community and faith-based leaders, have received training on how to help those impacted by reproductive loss. We've added our 3rd professional accreditation with more to come. And we achieved much of this in the midst of a global pandemic. Our exciting achievements would not have been possible without your great support. You are making a difference and helping people impacted by reproductive loss. As you can see, this really is a celebration. We truly are celebrating healing and overcoming isolation. We've done great things, but we need to do more. Although we help so many people, with 2 million new losses every year, we need to expand our work and our success. We'd like to improve and expand access to our training by offering all of our classes on demand. We'd like to earn 2 more national accreditations. We'd like to double the number of caregivers trained. we'd like to double the number of website visits. And with your help, we can make all of this happen. Your contribution today can change the lives of men, women, and families impacted by reproductive loss. And as mentioned, you can make an even bigger impact than you thought. All donations today will be matched dollar for dollar, up to $75,000. So now is a great time to help us to bring hope and healing to those who have lived through reproductive loss, and to let them know that they are not alone and that their children will not be forgotten. We need you, and so do they. Thank you so much for your help, for your generosity. And now, as we wrap up our time together, I would like to raise a glass to you. I'd like to honor you for the comfort and the hope that you have brought to so many. You are the reason that we can celebrate healing. Cheers.